Welcome back to Fabricating Awesome Stuff. The engine baffling is the cooling system for any air-cooled engine, and it's important that as much air as possible is allowed to flow right over the cylinder fins to cool them. Any air that escapes elsewhere is wasted cooling air. So in today's episode, I'm going to show you how I fabricated a cover for the oil return line so that it closes the gap where it comes through the engine baffling and doesn't allow any air to leak in that area. So let me know what you think in the comments. Also, remember to like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of these updates. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and thanks for watching. In order to run the oil return line from the turbocharger back to the engine case, I had to run the line through the baffling in the front part of the engine there. And you can see that's a pretty good size hole that I had to cut in order to get the B-nut and so forth through that hole. And if I leave it like that, that's going to allow cooling air to escape, and we don't want that. We want to have as much efficiency in the cooling as possible. So I'm going to fabricate a cover for that hole today, and I'll show you how I closed it up. I fabricated some templates out of cardboard. So I'm going to make it in two pieces, as you can see, by placing these over that hole. That's going to close up the majority of it, and then there's still some opening around the pipe because I don't want the metal that I'm going to make these covers out of, I don't want it to rub on the pipe. So we're going to fabricate some rubber to go in the center there and seal that up. Now that I have the cardboard templates shaped to fit around the pipe, what I did is I got some scrap aluminum and I laid the cardboard templates on the aluminum and cut them out. And once I had those pieces cut out, then I have two pieces of aluminum, and as I mentioned, I want to have rubber touching the pipe. So we want to seal this center part with rubber. The way I did that is I took and drilled holes in the aluminum and put rubber on the back, and then I used safety wire like thread, and I just sewed I sewed it on with safety wire and then twisted it tight to hold it in place. So this is the end product here. Now what this does is it allows, when this goes up against the pipe, it's just this rubber that's touching that oil pipe. Then I also needed to install some nut plates on the baffling so that I could screw these covers on. Next, what I did is I laid these covers on the baffling and marked the holes for the screws in order to hold these in place, and drilled holes and installed nut plates in 4 spots. So I have 2 screws per cover. That way the cover will go on here and be screwed in place. And so I'll show you how that looks. You can see the rubber is resting against there. Let's put the second one on. Okay, so now we've got rubber sealing that pipe, and there isn't any metal touching it anywhere. Here's a close-up of what we've been doing. You can see the rubber is touching the pipe all the way around. There's no metal touching the pipe, and the hole is sealed really well for cooling purposes. Now, when I need to remove this return line for any reason, I can easily take those 4 screws out of the covers and remove that pipe. It's not going to cause any problems at all. Now, while I was at it, I went ahead and added a couple small pieces of baffling. This one, I moved it up to close up a gap that was between the baffling and the cylinder, and I did the same to close up a gap between the baffling and the exhaust pipe there to help close that up. Also, there was a gap at the top of the oil cooler, so I put a rubber flap that it will seal that all up. That the air will push against that and make it really tight. I added a couple of pieces of rubber flap in the corners here also in order to close up a couple of gaps that we're seeing in that area. Since all of the baffling in this area is black, now that I've finished these covers, I'm going to go ahead and take them back off and paint them black so they blend in a little better, so there's not so much contrast. But that's just cosmetic. It's no big deal. It'll still work without the paint. Thanks for watching.